I studied to be a priest, and I went through seminary, but I felt that I wasn't being called to priesthood, but I had an experience after seminary to work in the development office for the seminary. And I became very close friends to one of the members of the development office, an attorney for the seminary. But he developed a rare form of spinal cancer. And out of that experience with my friend Dennis, I realized that being with people at those moments is such a sacred time. And in chaplaincy, you have that opportunity to be with people and journey with them. There've been a lot of sacred moments, I can say, that throughout ministry that I've been involved with. From being with a father whose 3-year-old son died in the emergency room, and the privilege of being with him. At some level, you have to be able to detach your feelings, to be able to be a support to people. I mean, I can't break down, even though I want to, because I have to be there for that person. But I remember clearly later breaking down because it was such an emotional experience. I like to sail, and I had a sailboat at the time, and I was sailing with a friend, and there was absolutely no wind that day. And suddenly, out of nowhere, a gust of wind came, flipped our boat, and turned it completely upside down. And we're in the water, we're paddling, my friend is fine. A pontoon boat came by, and this guy said, "Oh, can we help you?" And he throws me a rope, and I tie it to the mast, and he's getting ready to pull the boat up, and he goes, "Aren't you a chaplain?" He goes, "You were with me when my daughter died 6 months ago." And I hadn't remembered that. But once I started seeing him, I did. His daughter was only 24. The doctors weren't even sure what happened. They brought her into the emergency room. She ended up going to ICU, and she died that day. But it was such a weird, providential kind of synchronistic moment. Of all times and of all circumstances for that to happen, it was unusual. But it was also his way of kind of connecting back to me and being a support to me when I was able to be of support to him. Well, I'm one of 9, and I was the baby boy. I have 3 older sisters, 3 younger sisters, 2 older brothers. So in many ways, I got kind of lost in my family. And physically at one point, when I was 7, all of us were packed into a station wagon, and we had a 9-hour trip to see my aunt in Missouri. And about 30 miles from there, in this isolated gas station in Missouri, we stopped to get gas, and I went to use the restroom, and they left me, and they had forgot that I was there, and they didn't realize I was not there until they got to my aunt's house about an hour later. That kind of in some ways symbolized who I was at the time. I was very quiet and reserved. Oftentimes they didn't know I was around, so literally, so they left me. And I think maybe that's also part of how I've developed my sense of wanting to connect with people. Relationships are important to me. And I think maybe my sense of humor is out of that sense of wanting to be seen or wanting to connect with people or whatever. I love comedies. I'm a fan of The Big Lebowski, and I'm also a big fan of Pee Wee Herman, and Pee Wee's Big Adventure is one of my favorite movies. And in fact, my friend Dennis, who died when I was in the seminary, so we would find ways to make light of serious moments. And I think in many ways, chaplaincy is about that. Ministry is about that, is that in this world that we're living in, and the challenges and the sadness and all of that, that God can break through. Just like humor can break through and add a new perspective on things. So a new way of looking at things. And I think in many ways that's what Jesus did in his ministry. And to me, that's what joy, that's what humor, that's what spirit is about. And that's part of what chaplaincy is about.
Usually I make all A's unless it's like an AP class. Then I usually make A's.